Okay, during my last video blog, what I did for you is I explained my personal feelings on the Genesis account and where I stand on the issue. I had initially stood with the gap theorists, even though I didn't even know what the gap theorists believed until a long time after my research had completed. I was talking to a friend one day, and I explained to him this is where I've come to conclude just based on my studies of the scriptures, and I went step by step explaining my research where it had followed, where it had led to. And he says, "Oh, that's the gap theory." And I said, "The what theory?" And then he kind of explained to me about that, and I found out a lot more information about the gap theory and said, yeah, I think I do align myself with this group of people. Good site on information about the gap theory and its claims is kjvbible.org. I do not say that they're 100% correct, and I don't necessarily say I completely agree with everything that is stated, but I say that a lot of it I agree with, or I believe that I agree with it, and I'll explain what I mean in a minute. Immediately after I made the Genesis account video, I found that there was another video on YouTube which was 2 hours long. Although I thought we only had a limit of 10 minutes per video, that was a 2-hour video. If you'd like to see it, it's called Why the Earth is Not Millions of Years Old, and it's done by Kent Hovind. It's a complete 7-part seminar series. You can actually go to drdino.com and download the entire series, which I've done and decided to watch. And he gives some interesting evidences as to why the Earth has to be a young Earth creation rather than a old Earth creation, which even among Christians there's arguments about whether the Earth is millions of years old or thousands of years old, and I can understand why, but I actually don't want to argue with anybody about that. So today I'd actually like to go ahead and talk to you about myself and why I believe what I do. Okay, so just kind of going back a little ways, I haven't been a Christian but for 8 years, and that means I became a Christian when I was 14 years old. I'm 23 now. I am married and I have a little boy, and he's precious. He's in the back room right now playing with his toys. But I became a Christian at the age of 14, and the reason I became a Christian is as follows. Let's kind of give you a little background information first. With me, I was involved heavily in some activities that weren't quite legal. I had got myself involved in a group known as the Crips. I'm sure some of you have heard of them. And I was headed down a path that was really going to get me hurt in the long run. I became very apathetic as far as school is concerned. This is about my 8th grade year of school, and I actually stopped going to school. I would get on the bus in the morning, get off the bus and walk to the mall, and I'd hang around the mall all day long. Also, I was really headed down the wrong road. I did not believe in God. I did not have a background in Christianity. I did not think that there was any truth to it. I didn't think that there was any evidence to support it either. During my 8th grade year, I was just about to acquire a weapon, and my mom started to go to church. I pretty much did what I wanted. I'd hang around the house and leave when I wanted to, and so on and so forth, but she asked me one day if I'd like to go with her to church. And because I really had nothing else to do, and I didn't really want to get into an argument with my mother at that time, I agreed to go. And I walked in, and I tell you what, to this very day, I have no idea what the preacher said because I didn't listen to him. I didn't care what he said. And I'm sure a lot of you understand what that's like. You've been dragged to church before, and you don't really want to be there, so you don't listen to what's being talked about. What I ended up doing, though, was hearing with my heart. instead of my mind. I don't know what he said, but I do know that at the end of that service there was an altar call, and though I was determined to stay where I was at, I became compelled to go forward anyway. And I felt a love and a presence that I'd never felt before. And I began to study what it is that the Christians believe. No, I did not become a Christian on that day, but it was about 3-4 months later that I became a Christian. But what I did was I began to study the Bible and really begin to study the Scriptures. Matter of fact, studied them so much that the people around me at my school began to call me Bible Boy, and that became my email for a long time. But then it got too much spam mail. I closed it down. But in general, I was I've been called a lot of things because of my memory and the Scriptures in general, because I studied them out so long. And my conclusions from my studies of the Scriptures is that they're true. And I do believe in the Bible, and I believe in what it says, and I will defend my Bible. But I do not wish to get into actual arguments about the issue, but I will if I have to. But that usually only happens when I'm around somebody who insists on arguing about the issue instead of just listening to what is being said. Jesus gave a wonderful gift to all of us, and that's a gift of life, a gift of hope. Understanding that none of us are perfect. Nobody can ever meet the criteria that is required in order to get to God and get to heaven and get to perfection. Jesus met that requirement for us, and because of his sacrifice, we can go ahead and make it in without having to be perfect. I'll probably continue all this later. I think I'm going a little too far. Well, not too far, but I mean too long. I'm at 7:28 right now. Okay, I'll go ahead and cut it short today, and I'll talk about it more later. Y'all have a wonderful day.